Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, what'd we just go see?
We just got out of seeing Conclave, which, wow.
Yeah, Conclave. For all you who don't know, Conclave is a very recently controversial movie, I would say.
Yeah.
But we are here to tell you, first and foremost, that this movie is indeed excellent.
Oh my gosh, this movie, I'm so sad that so many people are already making a decision on this movie because, man, oh man, does this movie blow your mind? It makes you question stuff, but like in a good, respectful manner.
Exactly. And I would say, going into this movie, because I could say both you and I are, religiously Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, we grew up in that kind of household, that background and all that. So we knew a lot about, this situation about like the Pope and like all the terminology and all that. And for me, I always go into these types of movies that are getting praise reviews by, general Hollywood and all that with like, little, like, I'm cautiously optimistic because it's always more so bashing the church and just like always something about the negative side of the church, because you got all those artists that are like, oh no, I didn't realize, this part of my organized religion was, until now. And now I can talk about it through art.
Yeah.
But, this one, I think, does a really good job of respectfully bringing up valid criticisms of the church while also maintaining a sense of decorum and respect, and acknowledging the beauty of it at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this film, in a way, I think it's good to question stuff that you don't understand, or even just question stuff in general. And this film definitely makes you do that. And I think it's unfortunate that it's already, because I understand people are like, oh, Hollywood doesn't get us and everything. But I think this is such a like respectful film that is like, no, we want to like bring up valid criticisms, but also in a respectful manner. And oh my God, it's just incredible. Like, I felt like I was on a roller coaster. I did not expect to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, and I think Edward Berger or Berger,
However you say
if his name was Berger, that'd be awesome. I'd love the last name Berger. Food, hungry all the time.
Oh,
But no, like I think Edward did a great job with this beauty of this movie, and not only in the beauty of like, conveying the church and like, again, the well respectful argumentation of those criticisms we brought up, but also like pairing along with his cinematographer. I can't pull that up at the moment, but almost every single shot of this movie feels like it's a painting that would be in the Vatican, or like you would see in a museum around the Renaissance era, like that Baroque style with the shadows. And it's beautiful. Like, there's so many shots and images in this movie that I would definitely hang up on my wall, and someone would probably come in and think it's like a painting or something.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I'm gonna pull up that cinematographer. So, like,
Well, and there's just such standout performances too.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yes. Oh my God, Lord Voldemort, you're back.
Stanley Tucci,
Yes.
John Lithgow.
So good. There's so many good people in here, but Fiennes, oh my gosh, like, I really like hand him the Oscar right now. Start craving that, because like, man, he carried this film, and I'm so glad he was a part of it.
So Stéphane Fontaine, according to Google, which y'all know is 100% always accurate, but
Yes.
if I'm wrong, just correct me in the comments. But Stéphane Fontaine, well done. I'm definitely gonna find like a still from this movie, put it in my room. It's so beautiful. This movie is so beautiful. And there's actually one moment in this movie, no spoilers quite yet, but there's a moment in this movie that I would actually consider to be one of my favorite in all of cinema. And maybe that's a little biased for me because, I have a little I grew up very, very, very passionately Catholic. And, you know, I still have a respect for it all. And there's a moment in here that really does hit true to it, but in a way that's not like blindly, fanatically religious, but like in a way that's like the beauty of Catholicism and the Christian faith and all that really captures that in a universally understood type of way. And I just, gosh, I cannot stop mentioning how beautiful this movie is. It's bonita.
I love the like color of it too.
Yeah.
It's like kind of this dull color, but not too much, and it stands out with the costume design, especially.
Oh yeah.
It's such a standout. Oh my gosh! Again, like I felt like I was on a roller coaster, and I did not expect that from this film, but it's what delivered.
Yeah, and this movie is actually doing pretty well at the box office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm not at first going into it because I've seen the movie twice now. This was your first time, and both times I went to go see it, the theater was pretty packed.
Oh yeah, this was super packed today. I could not believe how many people were in there.
Yeah, I mean, granted, most of them I would say are probably well above our age.
Yeah.
Which, hey, you know, love the old people going out supporting the movie theaters. So, woo! But yeah, you know, I was really surprised either way that, you know, this many people went to see this movie. And I can understand, like, maybe the idea of, like, oh, like, the idea of wanting to know what goes into deciding one of the biggest jobs in the world, you know, what goes into that, or, like, someone's take on it, a realistic type of take. And that could be a universal interest for people outside of Catholicism as well that are intrigued by it. So, you know, along with the people that are Catholic that would be interested in this as well, with that sense of intrigue. But kind of going back to what you were saying at first, with the idea of all these Catholics and, you know, maybe some other Christians as well that aren't going to see this movie simply because of them assuming that it's going to be just a bash of the church or sincerely not true to the church, or like and again, we won't get into it quite yet because I consider it to be a spoiler, but there's been a lot of Catholic reviewers that have been coming up in their reviews saying a big point in the movie about something that's very controversial, and people are just kind of immediately assuming what it is and canceling out this movie from their schedule and not going to see it.
And also getting it wrong, too. There's a lot of rumors out there of what it is and getting it wrong. And I just want to say, like, first off, I can understand some criticisms of this. A lot of people, what I heard was, well, why are they making this movie? Well, why is any movie made, to be honest? Sorry, guys. Like, why is any movie made? But also, I think, listen, like, I think you can tell the people who reviewed or who have seen the film and reviewed it. And you can also tell if people went in with, like, notion about it. Like, oh, I'm going to hate this already, so I'm going to go in and find something I hate.
Yeah, in fact, before going into the second viewing, I was reading a fairly respected bishop in the Catholic community, his review of it. And it was just like, you sure you saw this movie? Because it does not, it was like the man saw I get that film is subjective, right? We all have different takes on things and different perspectives. But to go out of your way and to say, do not see this movie when you're such a leader in that church, when this is a movie that captures the beauty of Catholicism, and while bringing up those valid criticisms we are all aware of, to be blindly, like, inconsiderate of all these aspects of the church, good and bad, I think is ridiculous and a mistake.
Yeah.
So I think if you are Catholic and curious about this movie, I'd say disregard what they are saying and go see this movie for yourself. Make your own decision. And yeah, you can regard it like just be like, okay, this is their thoughts on it. Okay, sure, good to know. But don't let it stop you from seeing it and forming your own opinion.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to say the same thing I said in the Emilia Perez film. Go in with an open heart, and I think you'll come out with questions. And I don't think it's wrong to question stuff. I don't think it's wrong. So if it leads to more questions, that's okay. Like, that means you're learning and understanding. And so, but again, like, this film, it's unfortunate that there's already been such a, like, predetermined thing about it, where it really is, I felt, very beautiful, very respectful, but also being like, yeah, there's good and bad.
Yes. And speaking of all that beauty and, like, the controversy and all that, we want to get right into it.
Yes.
But before we do, Annmarie, before we get into spoilers, out of 10 cardinals...
Okay.
I'm not going to be too silly with this one, but
No.
out of 10 cardinals, what would you give this movie out of 10?
We're on a roll. I'm going to say 10. I swear. I know this is like my 10th 10 I'm giving out on Cassette Take, but man, like, Fiennes does an amazing job. I think the direction is really well. It's beautiful. I think a movie that makes you think is on top. It stands on top, and this movie definitely made me.
Yeah, and, you know, I couldn't agree more. I think this year so far has been a brilliant year for film.
Amazing.
Like, arguably, I've been thinking that this is up there with 2014.
Oh, yeah.
With just all the constant great pieces we've been getting, and I'm here for it, absolutely. Yeah. And this is definitely one of them. So I will have to give Conclave a 10 out of 10.
There you go.
There is one tiny critique. It is so minute, though, that I kind of disregard it. But there is one critique of the movie that I have, and it's just, I think the movie is maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute too long.
Oh.
I think there's one shot it should have ended on, but then it keeps going for like another minute. And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't need that. Unless there's some sort of other messaging in it, but like that I'm just not getting. But I just think the shot that they had it on towards the very, like, a minute before they actually ended it, I'm like, that's where you should have ended it. Like, it was so perfect.
Yeah.
And then they just carried it on, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but either way, I love this movie. Conclave, 10 out of 10. Go see it. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, guys, once you've seen it, come back here, listen to our spoiler talk, and let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. We're very curious to hear all y'all's thoughts on this one, as we are with every film, but this one especially,
yes,
just because of all the talk about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with that, Annmarie, what time is it?
It's spoiler time.
It's spoiler time. Spoiler time for the Conclave. So if you have not seen the Conclave, or again, you're a sadistic weirdo who just loves getting spoiled for, again, can you continue calling you out till the day I die, and have my own kind of mini Conclave.
Yes.
Yeah, so just, spoiler time. Let's go.
Yeah, so this movie is about, unfortunately, the Pope passes away, and so Fiennes has to find a new Pope, and so they have the Conclave where they vote people in. And it's kind of a longer vote in. There's different people that are up to become the Pope. And then we kind of learn some secrets. So a couple of things are one of the potential popes had a secret child. He's out for the running. It's very political in a way, this film, that you wouldn't expect. And it was interesting. It was, like, intriguing in that way.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with any kind of organized religion, when it comes to a deciding thing of leadership, there's always a hint of political intrigue,
mm-hmm.
and dynamics are always involved. And whether we like it or not, there's always that sense of, like, someone that is ambitious and has greater, you know, desires, arguably sometimes malicious desires, that wants to really excel in achieving that power for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So I think this movie does capture that, and along with that, really demonstrates why someone, like, the true reasons as to why organized religion has its, you know, continuities and sakes with other organized religions, and all that. So one of those, you were saying, one of those cardinals, like, that was considered to be Pope and getting all these votes, had a secret, like, sexual relationship. Another one was actually in cahoots with another pope or another cardinal that, you know, was actually had his own malicious intent going on.
That was like the roller coaster ride of it. You're like, oh, these people are just people. At the end of the day, they're people. They make mistakes. They lie. They cheat. They steal. But they're still people. So, I don't know. It just felt like a roller coaster. And then, oh man, I don't know if I want to get into the ending. The ending's wild.
The ending is pretty wild. And before we get into the ending, though, I will have to say right before the ending, there's a moment, and I brought this up earlier, that I thought was just so beautiful, and one of my favorite moments in all of film now is this scene that kind of resembles Pentecost in a way.
Yes.
Like the actual, not like Pentecostal, very different, but like a Pentecost, where, you know, the apostles are like hiding from people after Jesus's death, and they're like scared to come out and like, you know, talk about Jesus and their faith and all that. And then the Holy Spirit comes in and, you know, sheds a light, and it's like a wind, and it's like it enlightens them and gives them this like really strong sense of faith. And there's this moment where there was an explosion that happened in this in the conclave during the vote, and, you know, they were just coming in to vote for the next time afterwards, and the windows open and there's like light being shown in, and everyone's just kind of quiet looking at their papers, and then you just kind of see like a wind flapping underneath one of the pamphlets that one of the cardinals has, and then they all kind of look towards the open window with the light shining through, and then they immediately just kind of know what name they need to write down. And it was just such a beautiful moment. There's no dialogue in it. There's like none of that. It's just beautiful visual storytelling that is both respectful and like respectfully critical, but also respectfully beautiful of the church and the beauty that is the church. So yeah, that scene just, wow, I was, pun intended, blown away by it.
Yeah. It was just so simple. Like when you can convey like something without using words, I think it's so special. And I think it really helps lead up to the moment where they do choose a new pope. Benedict? No.
So the pope that they end up choosing is someone that actually wasn't supposed to be on the list in the first place. Benitez, you know, was a Mexican cardinal who was the Archbishop of Kabul, I believe it was.
Yes.
And he was, I forget what the term was, but he was made a cardinal in secret by the Pope. And he was only announced right before they were to sequester themselves to make that decision of who's the next Pope. And over time, this Benitez is someone that obviously is like very humble, very selfless, and he's rising, like, not intentionally, he is just being himself and like being true to his faith, and he's slowly getting more and more votes, and he's not voting for himself, he's voting for Ralph Fiennes' character, who does not want to be Pope, and he's like, stop voting for me.
I don't think he should be.
And you know, you kind of get the feeling as it goes on that this guy is going to be Pope, and, you know, after that come to Jesus moment, if you will, that Pentecost moment I just talked about, they vote Benitez in as Pope after he gives like a very moving, powerful speech after the explosion.
Yeah.
And he takes on the name Innocent.
Yes.
Now everything seems to be all hunky dory until one of the assistant, like, monsignors or whatever, to Ralph Fiennes' cardinal character, he lets him know, like, hey, I didn't think that Benitez had a chance at becoming Pope. Yeah. So I didn't think to tell you this, but then you find out later that Benitez actually has female parts.
Yes, so intersex.
Yes, intersex believe that is the correct term. Where, again, just to be clear, not transsexual,
No.
but like they were born with both parts.
Female and male parts.
Yes.
And he was going to get rid of those parts and have a surgery. And then he realized, and I thought this was such a beautiful moment, that he was like, why should I ruin God's creation? And he said he carried this as a sin that he didn't realize. He never realized it till later in life.
Yeah, once he had to like have his appendix removed, that's when the doctor like saw like, oh, you have a uterus.
Yeah.
And ovaries with that. Yeah, he had already been ordained a priest and all that, and again, he was in the seminary, which again is a modest lifestyle. So how would he know the difference of certain parts of anatomy and all that?
He would have never known. But it was such it shocked our theater. A lot of people were very shocked by it.
I'll be honest, the showing we went to now got a better response out of that than the one I went to before. Like, this one was like, "Egad, what? Ovaries? Oh!" Like, people whipping out their phones to see what, like, the procedure was that they were going to have done.
What did he say? I think it brings up a lot of questions for a lot of people, and that makes people uncomfortable. However, I think the way, like, that little dialogue that he says, he's like, why should I ruin God's creation? Like, God created me this way. And I think it brings up, again, like, I understand people are going to be against it. And I can't change your mind. Ethan can't change your mind.
I mean, I could.
I
really try.
You could try.
No.
But a lot of people are stuck in their way. However, I think that little dialogue of being like, God created me, I think it's so simple and so powerful. And I think a lot of people are misinterpreting it because there's a huge push out there of, don't go see this. It has transgender, which he's not. He's intersex, if that is the correct verbiage. But I think, yeah, like, this man was created this way. God created him this way. He didn't do something to his body. And I just think that's such a powerful message. And so, again, if you disagree, like, that is okay. You have the right to your own opinion. But I think when you break it down, it's so simple.
Yeah, I mean, and again, if this is not really a statement of saying, like, oh, if you want to change your body, like, one way or another, like, that you're automatically bad for doing so.
Yes.
But it's more so, like, providing that sense of nuance, that sense of nuance to the table here of, like, oh, if you were made one way, why should you have any incentive to change that just because, someone else is telling you to do so, or that's the status quo, or the other way around? It could arguably be taken as, like, why should we exclusively just follow the status quo? And there's a powerful line where the church is what we do next. It's not what it was, it's what we do next.
Yeah, I think that was super powerful. God, we're going to get flamed on this, aren't we?
I don't know, probably. But I mean, you can't help but talk about it because it's a part of the film. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people in the film community that, like, listen to podcasts and all that. They're like, oh, I don't like getting into politics and all that, and, like, really, like, messages and movies. Like, guys, Star Wars has messages, like, Lord of the Rings, like, any movie has a message and a point. Otherwise, what would be the interest in? I mean, hell, Godzilla has a message.
Don't create giant monsters?
Oh, 100%. In a way. And you can always find out the message in Oppenheimer, too. But
I just think it's so powerful and something that it's okay to question. It's okay to, like, think about it a little bit. Like, we don't live in a world to follow and be sheep. We live in a world to, like, be our own thing. And so... Yeah,
and it's, like, great to have the guiding hand of shepherds.
Yes.
But we are not, people who are just, as, like, I'm dumb. Me personally, I am dumb. But, like, we are not to assume that we are all just dumb and can't make our own decisions based on the gifts and talents and mind that God has made for us and the free choice that we have.
Yeah.
So, there's always the great structure to follow, but again, it's what we do next that matters most.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but hey guys, thank you for joining us on this theological, crazy, cinematic experience that was our Conclave review on this episode of Cassette Take.
I can't believe we went this long.
Yeah, well, theology will do that to you. Have you read Lord of the Rings? Yeah, no, but hey guys, whatever your thought, like, are you religious, not religious, wherever you guys are at, like, in your life, faith, no faith, what have you, are you guys interested in this movie? Have you seen it? What are your thoughts on it? Faith, anything at all. We want to hear it in those comments down below. Heck, it could be about, messages and movies. I don't know. Whatever.
What's the message of Godzilla?
It's atomic, the bomb, no bomb, no nuclear bomb, no. I could word that so much better. But anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast, but considering the subject matter, I would not be surprised if you have. But you love us anyway, right? Right? Anyway, regardless, please do not forget to rewind. I'm Ethan. And goodbye.
Bye.